Cowboy finds gold on Apache land but leaves it. 13 years later, tribe repays him. The story begins with a lonely cowboy named Jace Remington, riding through the burning silence of the Arizona desert. The sun sank behind crimson cliffs while the wind brushed over the land like a grieving mother's hand. Jace was searching for nothing more than a place to rest, but in the dust-filled quiet his heart felt heavier than his saddle. He carried memories he never spoke of and regrets that kept him company through every mile of empty road. As the sky dimmed, Jace's tired horse led him near an old canyon known to belong to the Apache tribe. Travelers often whispered that the land was sacred, guarded by spirits who punished intruders. But Jace wasn't a man who chased myths, he only wanted shade and a few hours of peace. When he climbed down, he noticed something glittering near the roots of a fallen mesquite tree. At first he thought it was a trick of the sunset, but when he brushed away the dirt, his breath caught. Beneath the dust lay a cluster of gold nuggets, so pure the fading light bounced off them like fire. For a moment Jace froze, staring down at what could change his entire life. He could buy a ranch of his own, leave drifting behind, maybe even carve a future instead of running from the past. But as he reached for it, an uneasy feeling crawled up his spine. This wasn't ordinary land. He knew exactly where he stood, deep on Apache territory. And he knew what it meant to take what wasn't his. Jace clenched the gold in his fist, feeling its weight, soft, warm, dangerous. The world told him fortune was something you grabbed when luck finally showed its face, yet something in him whispered that this wasn't luck but a test. His father had once said a man's worth wasn't measured by what he took, but what he walked away from. The words stung, because Jace had never lived up to that wisdom. Until now, perhaps, when a choice waited in the dirt. He opened his hand and stared at the glittering pieces. A man could build a life with this. But another man, or a whole tribe, could lose one if it vanished. He imagined Apache children playing on this land, their history buried in the soil long before he arrived. He imagined their elders praying to protect their ancestors' resting places. Slowly, almost painfully, he set the gold back where he'd found it, covering it again with small handfuls of dry earth. Just as he finished, the soft rustle of footsteps echoed behind him. Jace turned sharply, heart thundering, expecting arrows. Instead he saw an elderly Apache man, tall and steady as a cedar tree. His hair was silver, braided down his back, and his eyes reflected both suspicion and sorrow. Jace lifted his hands, ready to explain that he meant no harm, though he doubted the warrior would believe him. The desert suddenly felt colder. The elder approached, watching every movement with caution. Jace stepped back, giving the man space to see the ground he had covered. For a long moment neither spoke. Then the old warrior knelt, brushed the dust aside, and found the untouched gold exactly where it belonged. He looked up at Jace not with anger, but with a kind of stunned understanding, as if he had witnessed something rare. Jace swallowed, not sure whether to stay or run. In a low, resonant voice, the elder asked why Jace had left something so valuable behind. Jace hesitated, unsure how to put it into words. He finally admitted that he didn't want to steal what wasn't his. The land wasn't his. The tribe's history wasn't his. And he didn't want to be another outsider who took from people who had already lost more than they ever deserved to. The elder listened in silence, his expression unreadable. When Jace finished, he expected judgment. Instead the elder gave a slow nod, the kind that held both approval and sadness. He told Jace that few men respected boundaries anymore, and even fewer understood honor. He didn't offer thanks. He didn't offer friendship. He merely said, "Walk in peace," then turned and disappeared into the shadows of the canyon, leaving Jace alone with the cooling earth beneath his knees. Jace left the canyon with a strange ache in his chest. He had abandoned wealth that could have changed everything, yet instead of regret he felt a soft, unfamiliar calm. He rode through the night with the desert wind brushing away doubts he once carried like stones. But he also knew this moment wouldn't matter to anyone but himself. The Apache tribe would never know what he'd given up. His good deed would fade like a footprint in the sand. 13 years passed like scattered rain on thirsty soil. Jace's life didn't magically improve. He drifted from ranch to ranch, working hard but always feeling like something was missing. He grew wiser, quieter, and lonelier. The world changed around him, towns grew, railroads cut across valleys, and men forgot the stories of older lands. Yet Jace carried that day in the canyon like a secret he couldn't explain. Sometimes he wondered if it even mattered anymore. One stormy night, Jace's horse limped into a settlement he'd never visited before. His clothes were soaked, his boots torn, and his spirit worn thin from weeks of travel. He found shelter in a quiet barn, where rain hammered the roof like old grief resurfacing. As he settled into a pile of hay, he wondered whether his life would ever find direction. He'd given up gold once, but life hadn't rewarded him in return. He felt forgotten. Just as he dozed off, a figure appeared in the barn doorway, holding a torch that flickered like a restless spirit. Startled, Jace sat up, hand on his holster, but the figure raised a palm, signaling peace. As the torchlight brightened, Jace saw that it wasn't a stranger. It was an Apache man, younger, with strong features, braided hair, and eyes familiar enough to make Jace's breath catch. Something old stirred in his memory. The young Apache stepped closer and said he had been searching for Jace Remington for months. Jace blinked in confusion, wondering why his name mattered to anyone, let alone an Apache warrior. The man didn't threaten him, didn't accuse him, instead he spoke with urgency, telling him that his tribe owed him a debt from many years ago. Jace felt a strange tension coil in his chest, unable to imagine what debt they meant. He had taken nothing. The man revealed that he was the grandson of the elder Jace met all those years back. He said the elder, before passing on, told their tribe of a cowboy who found sacred gold and left it untouched. A man who walked away from wealth for the sake of honor. That story had become a teaching within their tribe, a story of integrity in a world that often forgot what honor meant. Jace's throat tightened at the memory returning so vividly. The warrior then told Jace that his tribe had watched over him from a distance ever since. They knew he struggled, knew he wandered, and believed the spirits kept placing him in their path. Now, after 13 years, the time had come to repay the man who respected their ancestors' land. Jace didn't know what to say, his voice caught between disbelief and gratitude. No one had ever remembered his best moments, only his mistakes. The warrior offered Jace a place to rest at their settlement, insisting it was the wish of their council. Jace hesitated, unsure if he belonged anywhere beyond passing through. But something in the man's steady gaze reminded him of the elder's silent respect. Jace finally agreed, letting the tribe guide him out of the storm and into a warm world he never expected to enter again. Somewhere deep inside, hope flickered like a flame refusing to die. As they rode toward the Apache camp, Jace felt a strange anticipation stirring within him. The land grew familiar, the scent of juniper, the rugged shapes of the cliffs, the whispering winds carrying echoes of old stories. He felt as if he were returning to a place he had never lived, yet somehow belonged to. The warrior told him the tribe had prepared something special, but refused to explain until they arrived. Jace's heart beat faster with each passing mile. The camp lay nestled between towering red rocks, protected from the storm. Fires glowed like scattered stars across the ground. Children ran between the lodges, and elders sat near the flames, their faces warm with light. As Jace entered, conversations quieted, and dozens of eyes turned toward him, not with suspicion, but with recognition, respect, and something deeper he could not yet define. Jace felt suddenly small in their presence. A woman stepped forward, her posture graceful, her expression calm yet curious. She was dressed in traditional Apache clothing, her dark hair woven with feathers, her eyes intense as they studied him. Something about her gaze felt familiar, though Jace couldn't place it. The warrior introduced her as Tala, granddaughter of the elder who once watched Jace choose honor over greed. She bowed her head slightly, thanking him for the dignity he had shown their land. Her voice held a quiet strength that sent a strange warmth through him. Tala explained that her grandfather believed Jace was a man of rare heart and that the tribe must remember men like him, not just the ones who harmed them. Jace could barely speak, overwhelmed by the thought of an entire tribe honoring a moment he once thought meant nothing. It made wounds inside him stir, the ones built from years of feeling unseen. Tala gestured for him to follow her to a large tent near the center of the settlement. Inside, the smell of sage filled the air, and the walls were decorated with paintings of their ancestors. She told him that within this tent lay the tribe's repayment, not money, not gold, but something far more precious. Her tone softened, carrying an unspoken emotion that made Jace's chest tighten as he waited to see what they meant. Before he could ask, the tent flap opened again and the warrior returned, carrying a long bundle wrapped in soft deerskin. He said it gently before Jace, treating it with reverence. Tala said that their tribe had protected something for 13 years, waiting for the day they could return it to the man who chose respect over fortune. Jace unwrapped the bundle slowly, his fingers trembling as he wondered what treasure could matter more than gold. Inside lay a beautifully crafted Apache bow, its wood polished, its feathers dyed with tribal colors. But it wasn't the bow itself that stunned him, it was the small symbol carved into its center, the same symbol the elder had worn around his neck that day in the canyon. Tala explained that the elder made the bow for Jace himself, believing he would one day return. Jace felt a surge of emotion swell, his past choices finally having meaning. Yet even as gratitude filled him, Jace couldn't shake the sense that this wasn't the end of the story but the beginning of something deeper, something he didn't yet understand. Tala watched him with eyes that held secrets the night wasn't ready to reveal. Outside, the storm finally broke into silence, leaving only the crackle of fire and the soft breath of destiny moving through the camp like a restless wind ready to change everything.